Thank you guys for coming. I was gonna go with the mic, but I don't think I need it. I talk kind of loud. As I was listening to the music and actually watching the slide myself, we kind of come into a sad place when we think about the things that are really going on in our community. And so I really thank you for coming out and supporting the release of my book, Shaping the Lives of Our Children. Parenting is not a friendship. I want to thank you because this is the beginning of me getting my message out. Writing the book was a result of not being able to get parents out to hear the things that I was telling their children, to give their children a chance. So I'm in a lot of schools and I'm out there talking to all of these children, but the schools can't get parents to come out. So we tried to do some presentations during the evening, and we just can't get the parents out. So I figured I'd put it in a book, and that way we can get it to the parents and we can get the word out. But I want to tell you a little bit about chapter 6, because in chapter 6, the book deals with a lot of things that are going on in our black community. A little girl pumps her fist during a community parade, and she's chanting with pride and pure innocence, "Inglewood, Inglewood, Inglewood." And immediately behind her, there's a building, a home that's riddled with bullet holes from a drive-by shooting that happened the prior weekend. Across the street, there's a makeshift memorial for a little boy that was gunned down just days prior. But this little girl is she's still optimistic. And her pure innocence tells her that everything's okay. So despite what's around her, she's still optimistic. She's proud of the community that she lives in. And like a lot of our kids, she's unaware that she's living in a war zone. Who will protect our children? Parents, it's our responsibility to protect our children. Parents, it's our responsibility to protect other children from our children. What do I mean? Let me break that down for you. We as parents are responsible for protecting other children from our children. This is what I mean. Every shooter, every guy that pulls a pistol, robs, carjacks, murders, some of those kids are as young as 15, 16 years old, and they're going home, not to their own domain, but they're living in your house, a child. All of us know if we have a family member who's a shooter. We all know that in that bedroom, there's a pistol in that drawer, and yet we don't reach out and do what parents are supposed to do. So often we befriend our children, and I'm going to tell you, if we are going to change anything in our community, in our communities, we are going to have to understand that parenting is not a friendship. If any of you are parenting your children and it's easy, you're not doing it right. You're supposed to feel uneasy. You're supposed to feel like you've done something wrong. You are supposed to feel like your child doesn't like you. That's okay. That means you're parenting. And so my appeal to the black community is to stop blaming everyone else. Every robbery, murder, carjacking, it's not some fictitious character. It's somebody's child, somebody's brother, somebody's cousin. And we as families know. We get together, we complain, but we know that there's a shooter in our family. We know that our child is in the street. And this is not to make anyone feel bad, but it's to say that once we own that changing our community starts with what we are doing with our children, until we do that, nothing is going to change. You can hire another 1 million police officers, change legislation, but that's not going to change what's happening in your homes. So my appeal is to begin family by family. We always knew that it took a village to raise a child. That means that cousins, aunts, uncles, mother, fathers are going to have to get together and say, we know that he's in the street. No cop can get him out of the street. No law can get him out of the street. Nothing trumps love. If you tell your child that he's worth more than what he's in, if you get around him, if you pray for him, you find a way to get him into church. You pray, and as a family, take your children back from the streets. That's what this book is about. It's more about the message than it is about the book. We have to take our children back from the street, and it starts with parenting. Parenting is not a friendship. Let's start with that premise and assume that that's true. We would change the world family at a time, community at a time, and eventually the world. So what I'm asking you to do, some of us have children and we're not prepared. Somebody in your family has the oomph to get it done. There's an uncle who has strength. There's an auntie who has strength. That's the person who has to take that leadership role and say a village has to raise these children. So that's my first appeal, is to say let's stop blaming others for what's happening in our community. And let's start by saying, this is my child. I gave birth to this child. And everything that happened in that child's life is because of something I did or did not do. Train up a child in the way he should go. And when he's older, he will not depart from it. It's written, and it's true. The second thing, ladies, young ladies, if you young ladies are tired of gunfire, you're tired of the carjackings and the murders, you have power. You have the power in the palm of your hand to change a man by simply putting expectations on him. You tell him that there are requirements to be with you. And you have to get away from telling these young guys that you're attracted to thug life. But that's what we do. I need me a roughneck. I know he's out there. Wait until he has to put the first piece of bread on your table. Wait until he has to tell your child the right thing, because now you love your child and don't want your child locked up. We are going to have to do something different. And to that young man in the streets that has lost your way, you are going to have to make a choice to choose a side. I'm going to say that again. To the young men who have lost their way, and that's what you've done, because there's something great in all of us. All of us have that part of us that wants to love, be loved, do great, be positive. To the young man that has lost his way, you are going to have to pick a side. And I'm going to tell you why. Because your neighbors, your friends, your families, they're fed up. They're fed up. And we are at a place where there's nowhere else to go but up as a black community. And when the black community and the police team up, and I know that there's some work that has to be done, but when the black community starts that healing process and start to team up with local law enforcement, these guys are no longer going to be able to terrorize our communities and have us feel captive in our own homes. Now, in order for that to happen, some things have to occur. The relationship between the black community and the police is a quarrelsome relationship. We know that. And rightfully so. Some things have happened. But we have got to step out of the past and into the present and into what is currently happening. There have been some cops that have blemished the badge. They have been held accountable. The police have taken the first step at being transparent. And I'm thankful to those people who forced that hand and got out there, did the work, and made those departments accountable. But they're trying to do the right thing. We are going to have to meet them. We are going, as a black community, as difficult as it is, we are going to have to do something different. And there's one reason why. There's one reason. What about the children? And that is the reason. What is it that we should do? See, the relationship between the black community and the police is just like any other relationship. What happens in a relationship? What causes a relationship to go bad? Something goes wrong. Black people have experienced injustice at the hand of a lot of law enforcement officers. But there's a system in place to eradicate that. And what I'm asking us to do as parents, stop sending your young men out there with hatred for the police. Because what happens if you're telling your son that the police is the enemy and you're sending them out there with that built up anger? What happens when you see someone you have a bad relationship with and the two of you meet? It goes bad. We have to teach our young men that the fight is not on the street. You fight and use the system in place. We don't need another dead body because someone wanted to challenge. That's not where we fight the fight. And there are a lot of officers that are out there doing the right thing, that will give their lives for you. They'll run to trouble when everyone's running away. They've never met you, but will lay their lives down because that was the oath they took. There are people that will do the wrong thing. We are going to hold those people accountable, but we've got to give those cops a chance to do their job. Now, if you're still not feeling what I'm saying, take Nelson Mandela. 30 years in a prison system. When he got out, the media asked him, was he upset? His answer was no. I am not upset because there's still work to do. He worked side by side with those people who were responsible for his incarceration. You want to know why? Because his purpose was bigger than emotion. And that's what I'm asking you, to not be angry. We have got to start as a black community to heal and to move forward. And we have to do it for our children. And so that's my appeal to the black community. And in the book, chapter 6, The Black Community, the Police, and the Truth, we're addressing some of those issues. So I ask everyone to go out, grab a copy, get the ebook, read it, digest it, and ask yourself, is this the world that I want to leave for my children, my grandchildren? This is more than just about an emotion. So I'm asking everyone here to think about that. Now, I want to say something also to the police departments. I believe that belief systems dictate behavior. That means what I believe will transfer into how I interact with people. But I also know is that familiarity brings comfort, and with comfort comes trust. We need real community policing. Real community policing means having an interaction with the people that you serve, and yes, police are servants of the community. It means having a real, genuine, sincere interaction with the law-abiding citizens. And I meet people every day that says, I appreciate what you guys do. There is going to have to be a change in how we move forward in our communities. So I ask anyone in earshot of my voice to ask yourself, What type of decisions do we make when we're angry? They're always irrational. We are angry as a community, but we have got to start the healing. And the healing starts with giving that opportunity for the police and the communities to work together. Because until then, we will be held captive in our own communities. One of the things, snitches get stitches, right? Don't talk to the po-po. Do you understand that that is a go-go phrase for the bad guy? That is his reason and his opportunity to kill another man in broad daylight. You want to know why? Because in some communities, people will not talk to the police. A human being will die at the hands of another human being. And because no one in our communities will talk, he feels comfortable doing it. But he can't go to other communities and do that. You want to know why? Because everyone in that community will testify. Everyone in that community will go to court. So you have to ask yourselves, is our safety worth it? And you might say, well, you know what? I'm afraid. Well, aren't you already afraid living in a war zone? You might as well be afraid and working on something that eradicates the problem. So I ask everyone to search, to seek, to look into your heart and ask yourself that question. What side am I going to take? Am I looking for change, or do I want to continue to complain? Something has to change, and it starts with each individual family. And I appeal to those guys that are out there, make a choice, because everybody's getting fed up, your family, your friends, your neighbors, and it's gonna stop. I really believe that the police are going to win the trust of the community back. However long that takes, they should not quit. They should continue. We should put those people out there that are doing the wrong things and deal with them in a just manner. But we've got to let the people who are in place to keep structure in our society do their job. I thank you all for coming out, and I really believe that there's going to be a change, and it starts with each and every one of us. And remember this, strong families build strong communities. And if we want to make a change, we've got to start working internally on what we're doing with our families. Let it spread to the community, to cities, and we'll make that difference. Thank you. Now, anyone interested, because you'd like to read the book, we will be sitting here for the next 30 minutes. What is that? 15 minutes, I'm thinking. So for the next 15 minutes until 4:30, I'll be here. I thank you guys for being here, for coming out. We had a large number of people sign up, but this is an example. This is an example that the people that really are ready to do something are the minority. But guess what? It only takes one person, one day, to say something to spark a change. So you're in the right place at the right time. Thank you. I'm here at the Kroc Center in Chi-Town, Chicago, and here for a book signing. Just recently released a book, Shaping the Lives of Our Children, Parenting is Not a Friendship. At a time when our communities have to make a change and to do something different, this book is a great beginning. So I'm asking for your support. Go out, purchase it, authorhouse.com, look at its content, and let's start giving our children a chance to do something different and get our communities safe again. Thank you.